Let us now, where were we? I think we were talking about the types of farming. No? We were talking about types of farming. Check your book. We were talking about types of farming. The last day, I was explaining you the different types of farming, the cropping patterns, mixed cropping, intercropping. That was the last topic I think we were discussing. So mixed cropping, intercropping, and there is crop rotation. Three methods. Mixed cropping, intercropping, crop rotation. Let us start from where again. So if it is mixed cropping, the benefits and the disadvantages. I talk about a plot of land, agricultural land business. Now, if it is mixed cropping, then what it is? If it is mixed cropping, a crop grown here, a type of a crop grown here, a type of a crop grown here, a type of a crop grown here. What is the benefit and what is the disadvantage? In this method, the benefit is what? The farmer is getting productivity of 2-3 types of crops at the same time. So that is the first benefit. What is the second benefit? All the nutrients of the soil used up, because maybe this requires only nitrogen and phosphorus, this requires calcium, magnesium, zinc and iron, this requires nitrogen, phosphorus, molybdenum and iron. But then if the farmer would have been growing only these 2 types of crops or only one type of a crop, but this crop requires only nitrogen and calcium and zinc and maybe now molybdenum, so what's happening? This type of a crop, only when the farmer grows, only 4 types of nutrients of the soil used. What about the rest 10, 12 types of nutrients? That is just going waste, no, all throughout the season. So what is the second benefit? All the different types of nutrients of the soil are used up. Third, what is the third benefit? The third benefit is, since it is mixed cropping, since it is mixed cropping I'm talking about. Since it is mixed cropping, quite a number of times we understand if there is a mixed cropping, meaning there is no sequence, it can be done just at random. Here one type of a crop, there one type of a crop, like that. So if at all one type of a bacteria or a fungus starts spreading and affecting these plants, possible this fungus or the bacteria may not affect this at all, but may be that it affects this type of a crop. So what will be the disadvantage part? If there is an outbreak of a fungus or a bacteria, then 1 or 2 types of crops will be all damaged, because it is not in a correct or proper sequence, it is just at random. Then something like mixed cropping, but better than mixed cropping. What is it? Intercropping. Intercropping is a much better method. So in intercropping, what would the concept be? The farmland divide systematically into certain sequences like this, either this way or it can be oblique also. So now when it is like this is the first crop, this is the second, this is the third, this is the first, this is the second, this is the third. So what is happening? The farmer has specifically divided the land into 5 groups, 6 groups, horizontally, vertically, obliquely, however pattern. So now, number 1, some of the benefits from here or this method and this is same. What are the common? All the nutrients are used. The farmer gets a huge amount of productivity, 2-3 types of crops at the same time, same season. Disadvantage, talking about the disadvantage, I understand that crops such as, certain crops such as, now that we are talking about certain type of crops, the arrangement should be as such that 2 types of crops not infected by the same type of a fungus or a bacteria. So now, quite a number of times, since they are absolutely separated, maybe certain other medicinal plants are grown here. Certain type of medicinal plants are grown in between. Certain medicinal plants are grown in between. So now since certain medicinal plants are grown in between, even if this type of a plant is infested by certain fungus, the rest of the plants are not affected at all, and even this type of a plant is also not affected at all. In intercropping, the process is even more systematic. Meaning, what is better? How is intercropping better than mixed cropping? In intercropping, the land is as it is divided into specific regions. In between two plots of the same land, quite a number of times the medicinal plants are grown. And now that the main crop, the cabbage, the cauliflower, the brinjal, the cabbage, the cauliflower, the brinjal, now in this method. So if the fungus has affected this, then the same fungus can affect this also, no? Definitely, the same fungus can affect this also. But now in this concept of intercropping, what's happening? Maybe now the farmer has lost 50 of his plants, cabbage. On the other side, another 70 cabbage plants are still there with him. Nothing has happened to them. They are saved. They are saved. Because in between there are some array of line of medicinal plants which did not allow the bacteria, the fungus, survive and pass it on. But then always this is true that whenever we are talking about for the plants, a type of a fungus or a bacteria or a virus is only for one specific type of a plant. The same virus cannot affect another 5 types of plants. So what is happening at the end of the season, this farmer, even though he has lost this 50 plants, still he has so much to market. So much productivity still there. So this is intercropping. What about this method? This is intercropping. Then what is crop rotation? Crop rotation majorly done by farmers. Crop rotation majorly done by farmers who would have some shorter, smaller plot of land, and with the view that they want to make the soil naturally fertile. They want to make the soil naturally fertile. Then what are they going to do? In this plot of land, what are they growing? Maybe they divide the land. Here they are growing the cabbage, and maybe here they are growing the carrot. Okay, the cabbage and carrot more or less can be done in the same season, almost in the same type of a soil. Harvest is over, now the soil is empty, no vegetation. So after the process of harvest, he has got adequate amount of cabbage, he has marketed adequate amount of carrot. The land is free now. What now for the next part of the season? He has already harvested them by September, October, harvest over. Now the land is clear. What now to grow till the month of March, April, May? What now to grow? He will not grow any other type of a main crop, but he will be growing what? Legumes. He will be growing what? Legumes. Can you give me some 1 or 2 examples of legumes? The other day we learned. What are legumes? 1 or 2 examples of legumes. The other day we come across leguminous plants. I showed you those images, roots, root nodules. Do you remember? Root nodules, that. Legumes. What are some examples of legumes? Pea is a legume. Beans, legume. I talk about the different type of grams, legume. So what are some special features of the leguminous plants, especially all the bean family, the pea family, the lentils are all legumes. What is the special feature? They can trap the molecular nitrogen in those nodules of the bacteria. Do you remember? Those bacteria were nothing but, those nodules were nothing but the bacteria. They can trap the nitrogen, convert the nitrogen to nitrates, and absorb. Nitrates are absorbed by the plant. Do you remember? That day I had discussed this. I showed you those images. Yes or no? Yeah, there. So the same thing I'm talking about. That this legumes, one part of the year, the farmer is growing cauliflower, cabbage, mango, guava, lychee, grapes, whatever main crop is growing. For the next part of the year, meaning majorly it is the dry season. So majorly the dry season, what is he preferring to grow? Legumes, lentils, pea, gram. So definitely, what is the advantage of growing the legumes? Number one, productivity, of course. Second, the land is becoming fertile on its own. Why is the land becoming fertile on its own? Because these legumes can trap the molecular nitrogen and convert them into nitrates, and these nitrates will enter into the soil and get dissolved in the soil water, and the plants will be able to absorb them. That was the concept we had studied the other day. So this method, where every time there is an alternation of crop, cabbage, carrot, legumes. Next season again, cabbage, carrot, legumes. Next season again, maybe brinjal, capsicum, legumes. So one part of the season, one or two types of crop. After that, alternated with legumes. So is this farmer too much in need of fertilizer? If the farmer is able to practice this method good, the farmer is not too much in need of fertilizer because his soil is comparatively much fertile because he is constantly growing the legume. If this is the method, what do we call this method as? This method is known as crop rotation because alternately there is a change of the type of crops. Crop rotation. See there? Page 96. Crop rotation. Advantages, I want you to read those and mark it now. Later when you have to read the chapter for your exams, this point's very, very clear to understand. Advantages. Read those advantages. Read for yourself the advantages. Clear? Did you go through? Now see here, the advantages. Improves the fertility, number one. That's a very important point to always mention. Yes, the growth of the legumes always improves fertility of the soil. How do you understand that the legumes always improve fertility of the soil? Because the root nodules always help in trapping the nitrogen, convert them into the nitrates. So that was a concept I explained to you the other day. Saves the use of nitrogen as fertilizers. Just now, as I mentioned, if a farmer is constantly practicing the method of crop rotation, he is not in a need of adding too much of nutrients extra to the soil. The soil is already rich. Helps in pest control. What is the meaning of pest control? Making the soil free from pests also. The soil also has got so many different type of termites, ants, worms, right? Which can destroy the plant, eat away the roots, eat away the leaf, eat away the flower. Quite a number of times you must also have seen some plants which you have planted in your window seat and all. Sometimes the leaves are eaten away, sometimes the flower petals are eaten away. So that type of a plant will not survive for long. Maybe in another 2-3 months the plant will start drying out, meaning it has already been infested. But from where did these worms come, these insects come? From the soil itself. So pest control in the soil, what is the meaning? Pest control here. Crop rotation helps in pest control, meaning I am growing the cabbage and the cauliflower. If at all some fungus or some insects would have infested the soil also, now that I am harvesting everything, I am mixing and tilling the soil, putting new fresh crops. So the soil is as it is becoming deficient of any type of a pest, if at all existing, because whenever we are doing the tilling and the ploughing method, by the tilling and the ploughing, all these organisms are dying out. Okay, so number 3. Number 4, crop quality. Crop quality improves the crop quality, allows crop Alternation allows crop alternation, and crop rotation uses utilization of all nutrients. So that was a method we had come across in the other two also. So we have seen in the last 2 days that we have been discussing certain concepts. We said, how can, for the entire story of crop production, what is important? Number one, think about the improvement of variety. Name the two methods by which variety improvement can be done. What did you study? The other 2 days we were discussing about this. What are the two methods by which variety improvement can be done?
No.
Nine. I'd explained here, I showed you some images also. What were the two methods by which improvement in the variety can be done? Hybridization and what was that? Two. I've given you, I think, answer also you've written that. One is hybridization and the other one is making changes in the DNA. What is it called? Genetic modification. So now, the farmer is trying to grow good type of crops. So what is the first area to think of? The seed that I'm collecting, are they good quality seeds? That's the first thing. So think on the variety. I would try to gather the seeds of mustard, but think, are the mustard seeds the good quality seeds? Are they some hybrid seeds? Are they the better quality than the classical original qualities? Or are they genetically modified? Genetically modified means bringing about change in the genes and make them better than previous. So when we are talking about improvement on the variety, okay, the farmer has taken care that the seeds, the small plants, whatever he is planting, are of good quality. So thinking about the quality, genetic modification, hybridization, then now comes the next step, how to grow these plants, production. What is the first requisite when you try growing a plant? What is the first thing that we have to give to the plant? Nutrients. The soil has to be nutrient. What are the 16 nutrients? Some are micro, some are macro. Do you remember what are macro, micro? Macronutrients and the ones which are needed in large quantities. Micro, the ones which are needed in small quantities. Okay. Then the methods of growing. We know, the farmer knows that the soil has nutrients, but can the farmer just rely on the nutrients naturally available to the plant? No. Then what is the farmer doing? How is he trying to provide nutrients to the plant? By manure and fertilizer and green manure. Three things. So there are some more. We are talking about three things right now. So how would the farmer think of making the environment even more nutritive for the plant? Manure, green manure and fertilizer. What was the difference between manure and green manure?
It's a faster process. Like it doesn't take much time to make. Like you just have to till the weeds and you have to like plant in this inside the soil and then green manure.
Green manure means whatever unwanted plants are there, weeds are there. Instead of uprooting them, you mix with the soil itself. They get decomposed and they provide nutrients to the soil. But now that I talk about just the normal method of composting, the method of making the manure, what is it? Gather a whole amount of waste, cover with the soil. Gather a whole amount of waste, cover with the soil, wait for a period of 6, 7, 9 months, 12 months, and then you get an appreciable amount of manure being made. But then this manure, what was the advantage, disadvantage we had studied? Advantage was that you can use any amount of the manure. You don't have to think 1 gram, 5 gram, 10 grams, nothing. And manure contained variety of different type of nutrients. So that was the advantage part. Whenever we are using manure for the plant, whenever we use manure for the plant, what's happening? The soil is becoming more fertile. The soil is becoming more porous. The water holding capacity of the soil increasing. So all these are the good things. But what is the disadvantage part? Manure, does it have any disadvantage in the entire process of plant growing? Did we study any disadvantage?
Ma'am,
Huh?
ma'am, that it takes a lot of
Takes a
time.
lot of time. That's a disadvantage. Slow process it is. Because the manure, we are just using some small chunks of the manure and put it near the roots of the soil, on the stem, at the base of the stem, the soil. So what is happening? Since the chunks are uneven, it will take time, soften, break, mix with the soil roots absorb. It takes a long time. So that is a disadvantage part of manure. Contrast, talking about fertilizer, what did we learn? Fertilizers are made keeping in mind what type of nutrients maximally the plant require. And what is it? Nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. So most of the fertilizers that we get in the market are all rich in nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. Sprinkle them on the land, sprinkle them, all plants will flourish and grow. But these are all machine made, so the granules are all of the same size. Very fast they will mix with the soil, dissolve in the soil water, plants start absorbing. In 1 or 2 weeks we get to see the result. Manure takes a long time, 2-3 months to see an appreciable rise in the plant. So that was the second part that we understood that for the growth of the plants, what is necessary? You have to think about the manure. Is that all? No, you have to think about the water in the soil, irrigation. Is that all? No, you have to also be aware about the proper cropping methods. I am giving nutrients to the soil. I am giving enough of fertilizer to the soil, enough of water to the soil, but I don't know these rules at all. I don't know these rules. Just randomly, I'm just putting some 3 types of plants to grow, and then I get to see that before harvest, almost 2 types of plants drying out, infested by worms, disease-causing organisms, pesticides, pests. So now, when we are talking about this, what is happening? So providing nutrients, providing water, and the correct method of farming. All these 3 together will give a good production to the farmer. Now, the other day also I mentioned this, that if the farmer produces a huge amount of grain, fruits, etc., is he able to sell all of it in the market at one day? So he'll have to store. So that is always, the farmer has produced some 4,000 quintal of rice. Harvest ho gaya, 4,000 quintal of rice now he has collected. But that 4,000 quintal he cannot sell in one day. At the most some 100 kgs, nothing more than 100 kgs. So what is the reason? How will he try to save all his crops now? Because 100 kg every day, 100 kg only he can sell. Beyond 100 kg he cannot go. So that means he'll have to wait now at least for 7, 9, 12 months, at least a year to finish that 100,000 quintal. So how will he be able to save his grains for almost a year? Proper storage system has to be developed. Proper storage system has to be developed. One of the most common storage systems are wherever the storing has been done, the storage or the warehouses should have enough ventilation. If there is enough ventilation, then the germs and the worms are lesser. Number 2, he has to go for some fumigation methods. Fumigation, you also must have observed in your society, for killing the mosquitoes and all, they fumigate, no smoke, and which has got harmful chemical substances for the insect, and immediately they die out. Then also the spraying of the DDT and all this, so that no microbes, no fungus, nothing, no worms, nothing develops. So in order to save his crop for almost a year, today now these fruits that the fruits you get to see down in the market, what is your perception? These fruits have directly come from the farm or they have come from the cold storage? Cold storage. Most of these crops and the fruits. So most of these crops and the fruits, they have not directly come from the farm. Maybe they were harvested except for some, like the bananas and all, which are perishable. They cannot be stored. So now, for most of these crops, the cauliflower, the capsicum, the carrots, etc., the beans and the potatoes, the onion, the garlic, the apples, the guava, depending on their shelf life, how long a fruit can survive, what is their marketable period for that, according to that, right from the time they were harvested and they appear in the market. For some, it may be months, for some, it may be years. For rice and pulses, it is years. The rice and the pulse that we buy from the mall, from DMart and all, is it just harvested last April? No, it must be harvested 2 years back. And slowly, slowly, they are releasing it in the market and we are buying it. So, but then even then the quality is so good. How? Because they have protected in a proper way. They did not allow the rodents eat them away. They did not allow the microbes, the fungus, destroy them. So protection method has to be very perfect. Then only the farmer, the breeder is able to gain profit. So protection method, what are some? See then the types of pesticides. What are pesticides? Chemical substances which can kill the pests. What are pests? It can be in the form of fungus. It can be in the form of some fleas, some insects, various different type of insect pesticides. So pesticides specific for herbs. What are they known as? Herbicide. Pesticide for pests. If I talk about types of pesticides which will kill the insects, what will you term that as? Insecticide. And which will kill the fungus? Fungicide. Harmful effects, that's the pesticide. Now that quite a number of times the HIT and all, the DDT and all, that is being sprayed in and out our homes. What do you think? Do they have any effect on the environmental pollution? Now that these NMMC people and all, they come, fumigate, no? So much of smoke. I talk about some people, again, always you'll come across that they have been sent from the government, from NMMC, etc. And what do? By afternoon, evening, they would come. And they have got a long stick-like structure and they keep on spraying DDT in the entire society, in those plants and stagnant water and all these. But now that they are spraying the DDT and the fungicides and all these things, is it causing any harm to the environment?
Yes.
Yes. All these chemical substances save the plants, save us from any type of a microbe, fungus, etc. But it is harming. These poisonous chemicals are entering into the environment and we are breathing them. We are breathing them. So harmful effect, they affect or harm the health of many parts and animal tissues, including the respiratory system primarily. Weed control. What is the definition of the word weed? What is a weed? Unwanted, unnecessary, unwanted plants. That is quite common. If you have grasses, I talk about those potted plants. If you have a potted plant at home, quite often you'll be able to see in 2 months, 3 months time, some grasses, tall grasses have grown. So what do? Uproot, throw away. Uproot, throw away. So if they are growing, what is the problem?
They are taking only
competing with the nutrients. They are competing with the nutrients. I may be having some, for example, some rose plants, and then I get to see that some weeds now have started developing. If I don't take out the weeds or mix with the soil, what is happening? In another 1 week time, the weeds have become that big, and the quality of the rose has become bad than before. Earlier, the roses were big, the petals were all fleshy and velvety. But now what has happened? Because the weeds are growing so much, the weed is also taking so much of nutrients from the soil, and that rose plant is not getting adequate nutrient. The roses are becoming smaller, the petals are not velvety or thick nowadays. It's all dry and papery. Okay. So weed control, when we are talking, the first point we just now discussed, cross so much when we are talking about control the appreciation time, they can be damaged. So when we are talking about weed control, one more thing also to remember, that how long can we save the crop and what measures to take to save the crop from the harmful effects of the insects, etc. And let's have examples there. These 2-3 examples only in your book, and you'll have to remember that. Some examples of the weeds: Xanthium, Parthenium, and Cyprinus rotunda. These are the 3 main types of weed plants. 3 main types of weed plants. So these 3 main types of weed plants, what do? They will always help it, or they will always compete with the plants, main plants, so they always should be destroyed. Xanthium, Parthenium, and Cyprinus rotundus. Disadvantages. What are the disadvantages of the weeds? What are the disadvantages of the protection method? Let us talk about weeds. Take up the nutrients and reduce the growth of the main plant. Weeds compete for food, space, light. Weeds spread very fast. The growth of the weed is very fast. Today you see 3 grasses. Tomorrow you will see they have grown quite tall, and another 3-4 has started growing small. Growth is very fast. What can be done? Take this. This is important. Preventive measures of growing weeds. What did we do? Preventive measures. What are some preventive measures we can do? Preventive measures, yes. Apply these proper methods of farming. Crop rotation, intercropping, yes. To develop this first of all. And next is, when we are talking about ploughing, how can we minimize the growth of the pest in our soil? We are talking about plants right now. How can we minimize the growth of pest in our soil? Number 1, enough of tilling and churning and mixing the soil. If that is done on a regular basis, every 2 weeks, if you're able to do that, very good for a plant. Whatever weeds are there, they will all get destroyed. What are some insect pests and what do they do? What are some insect pests? Cockroach is an insect pest. So now these insect pests, the caterpillar is also an insect pest. What do? They roll on the plant parts, the leaf, the stem, and then eat away the parts of the stem which is necessary for development. Now let us talk about the last part, that is storage of grains. How the storage of grains. The storehouses where the grains are stored in huge quantities cannot be just kept under lock and key. It has to be a bit open. They should not have adequate moisture in them, rather they should be dry. Then not a problem at all. Then can be saved for long. So when we are talking about the storage of the grains, see there. For getting seasonal foods regularly throughout the year, they are stored in safe storages. Storage losses in agriculture can be very high. There are so many farmers, every year they lose so much of the fruits and the crops in the process of storing. Maybe they have got a farmland big enough, they have done enough of vegetation also, but they are not able to store it properly, then it is a waste. Because the government will not allow them to sell off 100 quintals of rice in one day. Only maybe 10,000 kg, that's it. Nothing more than that. So 10,000 kg meaning that 100 quintal the farmer has to sell and sell and sell for so long. By the time possible that some of the grains will get decomposed. So for the rice and the pulses, the rate of decomposition is very less. Decomposition is much more for the fruits and the crops. Then preventive and control measures. What are some of the preventive and control measures? Preventive and control measures for what? For the protection. See point number 2. Preventive and control measures are used before grams are stored for future use. Again, I have grown a gram plant and I get a large number of seeds. I want to grow plants next year also. But before I straight away plow them and mix them in the soil, I have to check. The last type of a plant was good. That's why I have collected the seeds. But is it necessary that every seed gives rise to a very big plant? Not necessary. Not necessary. Sometimes the environmental factors do not allow, etc., etc. So these factors can be controlled and managed where in the warehouses. Preventive and control measures are used before grains are stored for future use. They include strict cleaning of the produce before storage, proper drying of the produce, and sunlight is a major point of trade. Now, these grains and the beans and the pulses and the fruits, wherever they are stored, can it be a moist place? No, it has to be an absolute dry place. Why? Why the storehouses should not have a wet, moist environment? The storehouse should never have a moist environment. Then what will happen if it is moist? Fungal growth will immediately happen. Fungal growth will happen so far that in a short period of time, all these grains and the pulses and rice all will be eaten up. They all will become papery or granular in structure. Now, this was about the concept of agriculture. We had learned 3 areas, agriculture. Let us go to the next part. Why are we talking about 2 parts of the chapter? Because at the start, if you remember, I told you, what is the major type of source from where we get food? What are the 2 major sources from where we get food?
Animals and
Plants. Animals and plants, 2 major sources from where we get food. So plants we had discussed, methods and manure and etc. Now let us talk about animals. Animal farming, that is animal husbandry. What is animal husbandry? Farming of animals. But farming of animals, is it possible? Anybody can do?
Yes.
Anybody can do. Knowledge should be there. I want to do farming, but I don't have any knowledge about what food to give, when to give them vaccination, if the female animal is in the process of giving birth, what type of care to take. I don't know anything. But now I'm so much enthusiastic to grow some gather some good quality animals and rear them. Rear them. So what am I doing? I got some cattle. I got some 2 breeds of cattle. And I kept them in a shed. I don't even know how should the shed be. But I only know that the animals have to be kept in a shed. So I've kept them in the shed. And I am only giving them food. I know that if it is a cattle, only grasses to be given. So I'm giving grasses. If it is a herbivorous animal, give only plant parts, give fruits and leaves and herbs and grasses. Yes, I'm giving. But when it is the time for producing milk, the amount of the milk that the cattle is releasing is only maybe 2 liters a day. The nutrient quality of the milk not good. When I got the quality of the milk tested in the laboratory, I get to see that this milk has got little bit of sugar, little bit of water, sugar, lactose, etc. But then the vitamins and the minerals hardly in appreciable amounts. Whereas in milk, the mineral and the vitamin should be in large amounts. So there's a big question mark. Why? I brought the cattle, I tried giving food also, kept them in the shed also. But why am I not getting good quality milk? Because I did not follow any scientific approach for this method. I did not follow any scientific approach. I did not go through any proper method. Then which are the proper methods then? The proper methods are select the type of the breed that you want to rear. Rear means grow. Select the type of the breed that you want to rear. Now keep them in a shed. What are some points to remember whenever the breeder or the animal breeder keeps his animals in the shed? What are some points? He always makes it very specific. What are some points? He makes it very specific that the floor of the shed is always slanting. Why? So that The waste substances, these animals would be urinating or defecating, they can be easily washed out. Slant. The shed where the animals are kept has to have cross ventilation, meaning it should have enough ventilators. It should have ventilators so that enough amount of sun rays, sunlight also enters so that the entire shed remains dry. It should not be moist. If it remains moist, now that it is monsoon time, when there was heavy rainfall the last month, 2-3 days, heavy rainfall, and we were not able to open our windows also. Did you ever sense that there was a damp smell in the room as if the moment it is dry like this, we open our windows and balcony and everything, and the entire house becomes so fresh. But when it is heavy rainfall, we are not able to open our doors and windows and all shut. Even though we are putting on the fan and the AC, but still there is something, a dampness is always there. If this dampness continues, what happens? Growth of fungus, a very, very favorable situation. So see there, when we are talking about this entire concept, we are going to go part by part. Now, the process of taking care of animals. We have learned plant stock. Now the animals. What is the meaning of animal husbandry? What is animal husbandry? The entire process of breeding, caring, rearing, and feeding the animals. The entire process of caring, rearing, breeding. Breeding means take care when the animals are in the process of giving birth to the new animal. Breeding, feeding, proper food to be given. It's not only grass to be given them or plants to be given them. Proper food to be given. And what is the proper food? Yes, there is a proper food for the cattle. There's a proper food for the poultry. There's a proper food for the cows and the buffaloes and the camel and the sheep. Different animals. So, now see the animal husbandry, the definition. See the first line, that's the definition. Animal husbandry is a scientific management of animal livestock. Includes various aspects such as feeding, breeding, disease control. Animal-based farming includes cattle, goat, sheep. So, which are some of the areas, animals, when we talk about, which are some of the areas which are given enough importance? Did we ever come across the rearing of the cats? Are the cats reared for food? No, they are not of economic importance at all. Then which are some of the animals of economic importance? Sheep, goat, cattle, and what? Is there anything? Any other animal of great economic importance? We may be dependent on them for food.
Chicken.
Poultry, eggs also, meat also. Cattle, milk products. And then fishes, aquatic organisms apart from fish also. So, which are some of the animal forms which are of great economic importance? So, the breeder is trying to take care of them only in large amount. Cattle also, cattle majorly, cattle of course, cattle. Livestock, so the definition. What is the meaning of livestock? Actually, the domesticated animals which are of great economic importance. Domesticated animals of economic importance, meaning domesticated animals of economic importance. Which are those? Cattle, goat, sheep, domesticated, but of great economic importance they are. So they are given proper shade, they are given proper food. See those? Can you see these lines? They're Indian cattle species. Now we try understanding. Now that we have started discussing about the animal rearing, animal farming, here we will learn two words. Exotic breed and indigenous breed. Underline those two words. Can you see in this page? Exotic breeds and indigenous breed. Can you see that main purpose and in that paragraph? So that now what is the meaning of indigenous breeds? I say cattle. Let us start with that one. Indigenous breeds of cattle, meaning of our own country. Exotic breeds of cattle, meaning from other countries. So if I have to talk about India, There are various species of cattle even in our India, which is very, very productive. But there are so many other breeds of cattle also, from Germany, from Canada, from Switzerland. These are the areas from where the cattle, Denmark, these are some of the areas where cattle farming is a major industry in those countries. Pakistan, nothing. So now, when we are talking about this, when we look into this type of areas, they, many countries. Now say, if I talk about that a type of a breed being brought from outside and then it is being developed in our country, that becomes exotic. A breed of our country grown in our country, that becomes indigenous. Now underline some examples, names you have to remember. See there, Indian cattle species. What are the Indian cattle species underlined? Bos indicus and Bos bubales. These are the major Indian species of cattle. Very, very productive they are. Huh? Cows and buffaloes, correct. And underline also the exotic breeds. The exotic breeds should be mentioned there. Exotic breed is also mentioned there. Can you see? Jersey. Where is it? See there. Exotic and foreign breeds. Can you see that? Exotic and foreign breeds. Exotic and foreign breeds. Saw that? Jersey. Brown Swiss. Jerseys are very, very common. We'll talk about this now. So I say, you have seen? Best type of cattle. Best type of cattle. Jerseys. Large amount and then milk and then their lactation period also very long. Very costly this cattle. So now meaning at one time when we are talking about that, that was quite common when we talk about that people used to have this type of Jersey cows. My grandma, when I also remember when we used to go to our grandparents' house, Jersey cows. And they were huge, big Jersey cows, not like the indigenous breed, our Indian indigenous breed that we talk about, they're comparatively smaller. And the Jersey cows, they would give large amount of milk, good quality milk, nutritive. But there's a disadvantage for those type of cattle also. What is the disadvantage part? They are the foreign breeds and they are not resistant like the Indian breeds. They are the foreign breeds, they are easily affected by diseases, disease-causing germs. So it's very difficult to take care. Maintenance is very costly for them. But when we talk about ourselves also, we Indians, we are always resistant to so many different type of diseases. As compared to people in the West, they are so sensitive. They get easily affected by disease-causing germs, same like for the cattle also. The indigenous breed that we talk about, very, very resistant in our country. The Sahiwal, the Red Sindhi, the Bos Nigalis, they are very, very resistant. Easily they will not get affected by any type of a disease-causing germ. But the problem is the amount of milk produced is lesser. We'll continue in the next class from cattle farming. From this part, we have to continue again. Exam preparation going on? Yes. Tissues on entire chapter there, no?
Yes.
No doubt you are coming across. I hope you have started reading from the chapter. Any doubt is there?
I gave the test today.
How was it?
Good. You should ask that for the test. What's that to